seen a ton of movies like this. Obviously, they have Vertigo, and another one that's called The Walk, which is not a horror film, but it actually might be the scariest film when it comes down to the fear of heights, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But today we're going to be talking about Fall. For best friends Becky and Hunter, life is all about conquering fears and pushing limits. But after they climb 2,000 feet to the top of a remote, abandoned radio tower, the single rusty old ladder falls to the ground, leaving them stranded at the top with no way down. Now Becky and Hunter's expert climbing skills will be put to the ultimate test as they desperately fight to survive the elements, a lack of supplies, and vertigo-inducing heights. I do like fear of height films, even though there's not many of them out there. And like I said before, I think The Fall, even though that's not a horror film, is probably the scariest fear of heights film that exists. And the main reason why is because that utilized 3D technology, which is exactly what you want in a film like this. Now, I don't know if Fall was released in 3D or not. I didn't see that. What you want from 3D isn't something jutting out at you, but rather stuff that's going on in the background. The Walk knew this. So that movie was all about this one guy walking from building to building at the top of the Twin Towers. And a lot of the shots in that film were looking directly down from the top of the Twin Towers all the way to the bottom of the earth. And they used 3D technology, so you could really see that depth and feel it too. But this isn't a review on The Walk. This is a review on Fall. And because it doesn't use that 3D technology, you don't fully get sucked into the height of this thing. It's supposed to be 2,000 feet in the air, and that's fine, but I don't always believe that. But something about it, I didn't fully believe that these girls were physically on the top of a radio tower. Something about it didn't match up to me. But according to comments from other people, they did believe it, so this is going to depend on who you are as a movie fan, if you're going to believe it or not. So really, suspension of disbelief is pretty massive when it comes down to this film. Also, I didn't love the dialogue of the film, the script. These girls are really, really smart. Their performances are pretty good, but the dialogue in the script, I felt sometimes brought them down a level because it was very MacGyver-y. They're like, what if we do this? And they're like, yeah, I know what you're talking about. And they banter back and forth like this, and they get really, really technical and explaining their thought processes. And it seemed really, really dialogue heavy to explain to the audience that one, they're smart, and two, just in case you don't know what the crap they're talking about, they're also going to explain why they're saying it as well. So there's a lot of dialogue in it, and some of that dialogue didn't work for me because it didn't feel natural. If two expert rock climbing girls were stuck at the top of a tower like this in real life, I would expect a lot of unspoken dialogue. I would expect a lot of knowing glances back and forth where they're like, I know what you're thinking. That's what I would expect. I wouldn't expect them to explain to each other what their thought processes are. I would imagine they just do it. Now, I'm not a rock climbing expert. Maybe I'm just talking out my butt. But I think about movies like 127 Hours or even Castaway, where there's honestly not a ton of dialogue. Like if Tom Hanks' character in Castaway or James Franco's character in 127 Hours were thinking about doing something, a majority of the time they wouldn't say it. A majority of the time, the camera would instead focus on the thing that they're thinking about. Now, don't get me wrong, I like this movie. Like, it is thrilling, but it's not as thrilling as it could be. And that's the thing that kind of disappointed me the most, because if nothing else, that's exactly what people have been saying about Fall, that it's the most thrilling film that they saw all year, and that's just not true for me. But yeah, I mean, I do like the movie. I like the story. I like the MacGyver skills that these girls have in trying to figure out the next thing to do. I like it all. I just wish it wasn't explained as much as it was. I actually felt similar with some of the escape room movies where it's like, I watch those, I think they look amazing. I think that the story is a lot of fun. I think that the things that they do to get out of their situation is really entertaining and engaging and engrossing. But there is too much dialogue. And when there's too much dialogue, by the way, the performances don't seem as strong. Like, I know that these girls can act. Like, I could tell from certain scenes that they are giving it their all. But when you have as much dialogue as you do, the acting can sometimes come off as corny. I felt the same way in Escape Room as I do here. Similar dialogue problems. But overall, I do consider it to be a movie that I'd rewatch. I think that it's a lot of fun. I think it looks great. I think that what's going on here as far as the friendship that these two girls have and how strained it is and how weird it is, I think that that's great. I also consider this to be a film that, in general, I recommend. As soon as I finished watching it, I went online and I told some people about it, and if they hadn't yet, put it on their list, because it's definitely worth a watch. Even though it has some flaws here and there, even though some parts of it are a little bit corny to me, I think that it kind of still works. I think that what it was going for, it achieved. So my gripes with it are mostly just minor gripes, if anything. Let's take a look at my final score for a second, which I rated Fall an A- letter grade with a final overall score of 86%. 86 out of 100 possible stars. Basically say that this film is definitely entertaining, you know? Is it the best movie of 2022? No, not at all. But it is a lot of fun. It's very engaging. For a lot of people, it's incredibly thrilling. It might even be the most thrilling film they saw all year, and that's great. That's fine. I don't care. But other than that, guys, let me know what you thought about Fall in the comments down below. Have you seen it? Are you a fan? Let me know why or why not. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace.